Sit down because we need to have the talk. No, not that talk. No birds and bees here, just cats and kids. As I always say, this is not a smut channel. You didn't end up in the wrong place. If you're looking for information about getting cats and kids to get along, this is the right place. This video is filled with possibly some hot takes, and I want to start out with a fiery one that needs to be very clear. As the adult human, you are responsible for the safety of all involved when it comes to cats and kids interacting. Cats and kids are just going to behave like cats and kids. As the one with the, I hope to God, fully developed brain, you are in the best position to ensure that they are safe around each other. That's why I'm going to teach you how to reduce the risk of injury to your children, grandchildren, or random children who somehow wandered into your home and are now hanging out with your cat. Honestly, you may want to get that hole in your wall repaired because that seems like a very unsafe situation, in addition to being a legal liability, but I'm not an attorney. I don't know. Ultimately, the risk will never be zero, but you can keep it to a minimum, and that doesn't mean that cats are inherently dangerous around kids. And if you don't heed my advice, well, the responsibility isn't with the cat or the kids. It's with you. Doom and gloom aside, safety starts before tiny humans actually meet any feline. Actually, it starts when the cat is a kitten and they're learning about the world. Kittens need to be exposed to many different people and be handled in many different ways that are positive and fun from a young age, so that when they encounter someone new, they're more likely to view them as a potential force of fun and or snacks, rather than a source of terror. I can relate to this because hello, Prozac. Hi. Hi, Prozac, are you coming to help? What was I saying? Oh yes, snacks. I also enjoy sources of snacks, so if you bring me snacks, I will probably like you. Let's be honest here. I accept snacks as bribes. Unfortunately, this is something most of you can't control, but I bring it up because your cat may or may not have a good starting point if they've never been around kids before. Remember that the experience is going to be potentially stressful for them, and your goal is to manage their stress and fear. Hi, Prozac. Let's not jump on the camera, Prozac. Thank you. Your goal is to manage your cat's stress and... Oh God, this is chaotic. Even if the cat does aggress towards someone, it may be out of fear, stress, or an attempt to play. So make sure you're thinking of the cat's emotional state. If you suspect that your cat has not been well socialized, we can kind of replicate what is typically done to socialize kittens, even if they haven't been exposed to kids before, to prepare them ahead of time. Think of the child you'll be introducing your cat to. Babies and 10-year-olds are very different, so you'll need to do different things to prepare a cat for a baby versus an older child, but there are some things in common. And you can always focus on socializing the cat to an individual child as opposed to children in general. You'll need to think of the differences across age groups, such as things like noises, handling, and movement. To get your cat used to each of these things, you'll need to expose them to them repeatedly at a low level so your cat doesn't become anxious. That's the key to making this work. Your goal is not to push your cat to the point where they become anxious and then stop. It's to stop beforehand. You can then gradually increase the intensity of whatever it is over time. It's helpful, too, if you pair it with something that the cat likes, such as a treat, playing, or brushing if your cat is a fan of brushes. If they're not, please don't brush them during this. This will backfire on you if you try that. For some things, especially when it comes to anything involving babies or toddlers, it's best to do this artificially before doing it live with a real child. I'll explain that process with noise because noise is fairly easy to do, but you can apply this same concept to other things. Babies crying is a great example of a noise that a cat may find scary. Thankfully, YouTube actually has a ton of videos of babies crying that you can use and control the volume of. I have a playlist that I put together with sounds that cats may find disturbing, which thank you Poutine and thank you Prozac for making the sacrifice of putting up with me while I was putting that playlist together. I'll link to that if you don't feel like combing through all the videos of unpleasant sounds. Start out playing the video on the lowest volume your phone or other device has and give your cat a tasty snack, play with them, or give them something good while the noise is playing. The source of the noise should be far away, even potentially in another room with the door closed. If your cat doesn't react, keep the sound playing for a bit and then gradually increase it. Remember, your goal is for your cat to not react, so if they don't seem to notice, that is exactly what you want. You don't want to keep pushing it until your cat reacts. Pay close attention to their body language. and keep the good stuff flowing. Do this in short sessions over time. Now, it's absolutely better to start this well in advance before your cat needs to meet the child, so you can go really slowly. Don't try and start this process once you're bringing home a brand new baby, because that may cause your cat to freak out, especially if they have had a negative experience or typically aren't well socialized. This can take a while, even if you're doing things correctly, and that's totally normal. Some cats will need more time than others as well, and it's hard to predict exactly how long any cat will need. If you're doing this correctly, it should be really boring, and your cat should just not care. You won't need to do that for every aspect of meeting someone new, but noises and babies are a good thing to start with, especially if your cat is jumpy and reactive to sounds. Another thing to do before the cat meets a child for the first time is to set up your home so your cat always has places that they can run and hide should they decide to. Contrary to some advice you'll find online, it's not a good idea to force your cat out so they have to interact with kids, or that you shouldn't let your cat hide. Letting your cat hide will allow them to feel in control and ultimately be less fearful. Hiding may take the form of cozy nooks or a cat tree that your cat can climb up to. Your cat should also have a quiet sanctuary room that no kids are allowed in so that they can retreat to if needed. A lot of old recommendations surrounding socialization involve a method called flooding, which is really rude to the cat and isn't a good idea. It's something that can absolutely backfire on you and sensitize the cat more or make them have a stronger reaction to something they're scared of. It's better to try and avoid having your cat become stressed and always allow them to choose to leave. As weird as it sounds, the choice of allowing them to leave actually will help them feel more comfortable, and eventually they'll be less likely to choose to leave. We're not just here to talk about cats. We also need to talk about the kids. Depending on the age of your child, they may or may not have control of their behaviors. So let's talk about what you can do ahead of time for each age group. For babies up until they become toddlers, they're not really going to move around on their own as much. So you're pretty much in control of the interactions, especially the child's interactions. As kids become mobile, they'll start moving around more, so you have slightly less control. And they'll also be able to begin understanding instructions, not at the same level that we will. For younger children, developmentally, it's better to demonstrate how to interact with the cat using a stuffed cat at first. Pet the cat's cheeks or chin, demonstrate gentle petting. And only petting once or twice is a good idea too. Consider having them practice on your arms so you can tell if they're being too rough, because sometimes that can happen. Be very concrete and simple, focusing on encouraging what you want them to be doing. If they interact with a stuffed cat in a way that a real cat may bite or scratch, say things directly like, don't pull on their tail. As kids become older, you can get a bit more abstract and start talking about the cat's feelings. But that usually wouldn't be until they develop something called theory of mind, or the idea that others think differently than they do. You can teach them about concepts like boundaries at that point. They will be better able to understand the idea of letting a cat start contact, petting them a few times, and then stopping. They're also a great candidate to learn about body language. I really recommend Lily Chen's book, Kitty Language. I recommend it all the time to my clients, and especially those with kids. Not only are the drawings really fun and cute, but the information is that right balance of simple but in-depth enough that everyone can get something out of it. Now that you've prepared, how do you handle the cats meeting the kids for the first time? Remember how I promised hot takes? You need to supervise the kids and the cats at all times. Yes, all times. It can take just a few minutes for a toddler or even a school-age child to do something to injure the cat. Until they're a bit older, you need to keep an eye on them. Hot take part 2. If you start seeing the child doing something that may upset the cat, you're responsible for stopping your child from continuing. It's not the cat's fault if they bite or scratch. They're just being a cat, and they're upset. It's also not the kid's fault. I'm not anti-kid. I'm not trying to say, oh, your kid is terrible or awful or anything like that, because you should have been supervising them. I'm saying this in a very confrontational way because it's that serious. If you don't take this seriously, the child could become seriously injured or something could happen to the cat. Now, some age groups are more at risk than others. Babies generally won't go after the cat, but they move around and have small, teeny tiny little hands that are about the size of prey that cats would hunt, and they look like toys, and they move around. Cats prefer toys that move. Your cat may try playing with them. Crying or loud sounds may also scare the cat, which could result in biting or scratching, the thing that you do need to remember, and I completely understand that as a parent or someone who cares about this child, you're gonna have a very strong emotional reaction. But you do need to remember that the reason that this is happening is that your cat is scared. If you become upset with the cat, it's only going to make the problem worse and make it more dangerous. Gently guiding your cat to another room or trying to figure out what's going on is a better idea than trying to yell at them, spray them, or doing something else. Actually, in a lot of cases, the spray bottle is actually at most cases, the spray bottle is a really bad idea. Just toss in the trash. Spray bottles can increase arousal, and especially if the cat is trying to play, that can really drastically backfire and you make the aggression much worse. There's always a gentler, kinder, better way to do it without scaring or trying to startle your cat. Using methods that don't involve fear, stress, or scaring your cat are actually safer. With toddlers, they may reflexively grab at things, including the tail of the cat, much like how your cat may reflexively go after a flailing arm because it looks like a toy. If your toddler grabs at the cat's tail, that will go exactly as you expect. And the solution? Watch the toddler. Come on here, this is not that hard. Meetings should be in a safe space and while the cat and child are in a good mood. For babies, you should be holding the baby and allow the cat to approach, not the other way around, because you don't want the cat to feel trapped in case they get scared. If they sniff curiously, you can reward them with a treat and praise, and then ideally get the cat doing an activity like playing or doing a food puzzle while the baby is nearby. Don't just rely on your cat figuring out what to do. It's better to teach them directly what to do and help them along so then you can set them up for success. This also makes the baby become a signal that good things are coming, which is what we want. That reduces the chance of your cat becoming defensive. For kids that are mobile and older, giving them something to do with a cat will help a lot. Help them play with a cat or try a new enrichment activity with a cat and the child. Something fun like painting with a cat can keep everyone involved occupied and help the cat learn that kids are cool. If the cat is having a hard time, give them a break though. Consider doing clicker training with a cat, as this can help them learn different behaviors that may be useful for the meetings and help associate children with good things, along with giving them a sense of control over the world. Plus, you can use the training to help get the cat away from the child if needed. Let's talk about teens for just a second. And hey, who wants another hot take? Teens have a better ability to understand the cat as having emotions, but teens are also not exactly known for making good choices. I made only good choices as a teenager, so that's not a concept I'm familiar with, but I've heard it about others. Your responsibility with teenagers is to make sure they're not doing anything mean or dangerous with the cat. A lot of people take videos of cats that are supposed to be funny, but the cats are actually really stressed out. If you have a teenager, talking to them about not doing this and stopping them if they are doing something rude to the cat is your responsibility. It's not cool to use cats as props for videos if it causes them to be stressed. Plus, it increases the risk that something is going to happen to your teenager because your cat is going to be afraid of them. This also applies to your teenager's friends, because sometimes your friends may be the problem. I know that it can be kind of hard to control teenagers, but if they're being loud and obnoxious, you do have a responsibility to try and help the cat feel safe. It might mean keeping the cat in a sanctuary room where they have a lot of fun things to do and it's quieter, or it might mean talking to the kids. In some extreme cases, you may have to decide that, hey, your child can't have that friend over because they're being mean to the cat, and that could create problems. I know that's not a fun thing to do, but remember, your cat lives there. That is their home. It's not your child's friend's home. And again, it's ultimately safer for everyone involved. Now, I could go on for a while, but hopefully you have some good ideas for how to help get your cat used to being around kids of all ages. Making it predictable, positive, and fun will help everyone enjoy themselves. Remember, as the adult, you are responsible for the safety of kids and the cat. If you're finding this tough, separate the cat gently or consider calling in professional help. You don't have to do this alone.